Hey, how we going, guys? Mickey here from Up Cartel, back with the Kick-Ass Beer Review. Going to review the Funky Humbug Imperial Stout. It's on the edge of the Imperial. Recipe sheet here. We'll just go through that. Original gravity 1073, final gravity 1012. Variants in both of those figures. Before and after, but not a huge amount of difference it still balances out. So the ABV is 8.1, so we're still within that 8.1, teetering 8.2, 8.3, 29.4 IBUs and 74.8 EBCs. There's the beer in question. Nice and dark, nice big head there, quite fluffy. Get on with the rest of the recipe. 5 kilos of Marisota, that's from Simpson's malt. Half a kilo of rolled oats, that is generic brand from supermarket variety. 300 grams of chocolate dark, that's from Gladfield malts. 300 grams of wheat malt from Gladfields. 300 grams of roast barley, Gladfields as well. It calls for Viking malt for the roasted barley, but I got it as close as I possibly can due to the fact that there's no Viking malt available. 300 grams of dark crystal from Gladfields. 300 grams of the generic brand of milk sugar, lactose. 200 grams of caramel, which was from Joe White Malting. So a bit of a variance there in the supplies for the malt, but all the same, as long as we get those figures as close as possible for the analysis of each grain to go along with this recipe. So it is pretty much a recipe from online. It's another award-winning recipe that I've come across that I really like the look of. I've balanced it out so to get the figures sort of flatter, so with pretty much even additions, sort of no off grams there with the additions of the malt. 28 grams of Centennial at the 60 minutes, which gives us our 29.4. It's the only hop that gone into this stout. Why did I use Centennial? Just had it there, had to be used up, so why not just use it? The original recipe called for around about the same equivalent, or C hop, being Cascade in the original recipe. That pretty much rounds out everything that's gone into this beer, apart from the addition of Fruit Loops, or in this case it was Fruity Rings from Coles. Did actually write down that figure, and the variance in the weight of cereal at the moment is quite broad. There's 700 gram boxes of cereal, there's 750 grams, there's 680, there's 350 grams. It's so many variants in the size of the boxes that you get in cereal. So just the home brand Fruity Rings, which is, I guess, sort of probably made by Kellogg's or whoever makes Fruit Loops, but just looks a lot different. Anyway, that's the recipe rundown. We'll go to a quick ad and we'll come back and we'll do a smelling, tasting and another closer look at this beer. So the Funky Humbug. Why did we call it the Funky Humbug? Because the original Funky Humbug that I'd done quite a while ago used an all-round sort of Philly sour, to be honest, was a Philly sour yeast, which didn't sort of quite fit the bill. It was, once again, an online recipe. Funky Humbug is the name I give to this beer, so it has nothing to do with the original recipe that I found online. I just like to look at that base recipe, so I kept it as close as I can to that. Look, it wasn't a bad beer, the original, and I used the Philly sour, so pretty much a secondary inoculation or a co-inoculation in that beer. It just didn't make the cut, but it still got drunk. The keg got bottomed out, which is good. So version 2, not a lot changed except for the use of different yeast. Obviously, we've just gone with SO4 in this one, and black as a night sky. Nice fluffy compact head there. There is some loose larger bubbles in there, but expect that. And then the addition of the fruity rings. I'm yet to see whether it's going to come across. So I have had small tastings. So this beer has been sitting for quite a while. It was a very slow process through the fermentation, and then it was allowed to mature in the keg, just at room temperature in the corner of the shed, which I've done with quite a few stouts over the last 12 to 18 months. And so this one, I feel, is time to make an appearance. I've allowed it to warm a little bit. It was a little bit excited on the pour. I've kept a very close eye on it while it's been sitting in the corner of the shed, just to make sure that it doesn't run out of CO2. It absorbs too much CO2. Obviously, it's what's happened here. I've just kept the CO2 topped up. I've kept it at a particular level, but it did keep sort of absorbing it. So not a lot of CO2 was required once it went on to tap. That the little bit that I did give it was more for serving, has probably made it a little bit too excited. So burping that keg off a bit now, just to get the CO2 levels down and at a more sort of manageable, pourable level. Aroma. Chocolate, a little bit of coffee, some roast there. I'm picking up the cereal. I mean, there was only a plan to go 250 grams of the cereal, but we threw the whole box in. Excuse me, now I can't remember whether it was a 380 gram box or a 500 gram box. It's only a small one, so I'm leaning towards that 350 to 380, which is that sort of ballpark of where most of those size boxes land in on the shelf at a supermarket. So I am picking up the cereal in that. Aim for a taste. It's tasting really, really good compared to what it was in the beginning. There was another beer that I thought, maybe I'm just not sure about it. It's definitely there. It's a sort of fruity, cereal fruity vibes. Definitely there in this one. Decent cereal notes. Lactose really adds to that. It's got a really good mouthfeel. very chewy. For an 8.1%, 8.3% beer, it's very, very. Hides the alcohol well. It's almost a smashable beer. A bit hard to put down. Not a lot I'd change with this one. I think leaving it the same. Really like to bring, I'm picking it up, but I want to bring those Fruit Loops through a lot more. So quite possibly go 50% again. So if it's around about that sort of 380 gram in a box, half that again, I'll probably really round that out. Saying there's nothing really wrong with it, so I guess it's an argument of whether to change it or not. The additional, maybe not. I might have to revisit this one. My nose is a little bit blocked at the moment due to hay fever. I am picking it up in the aroma. I'm picking up a lot in the aroma. I can still pick up a fair bit actually. So I'll probably pick up a lot more. Once this hay fever passes at the start of spring. Anyway, that's the Funky Humbug. I still think it deserved to live up to that Funky Humbug name due to the fact that I've used the fruity rings in it. Cheers.